video we're going to fit a base unit. This could vary in size from about 200mm to 1200mm. If you have not done so already, I would suggest watching the first video in this series called Kitchen Fitting Basics. Base units can be a unit with doors or they can contain drawers. Base units have the advantage that they can easily be lifted into position and adjusted. In this video, the base unit is pre-built. You can get flat pack ones, but building one of those is not covered in this video. If the feet are not already installed onto the unit, they should be fixed first. An easy way to do this is to turn the unit upside down or lay it on its side. There are often drilled holes in the base and the small spigot in the foot holder which needs aligning. You can normally just push these in, then fix using a couple of short screws. Now is a good time to adjust the feet so that they are close to the final height of the unit, which is the plinth height plus the floor covering height. You can then turn the unit over the correct way and move it into position. This is the plan of the kitchen. We are installing the 600 base unit right here. This is the third unit on this wall. It starts with a 300mm Lauder pull-out unit, then a oven and microwave unit, a tall end panel, then this 600mm base unit. As mentioned in previous videos, all base units in this kitchen need spacing 50mm away from the wall due to the kitchen being a handleless kitchen. If you do need to fix a batten to the wall, ensure it is perfectly level with the base units or just below the height of the base units. So the spirit level's on the cabinet now, and you can see that it needs to come up slightly at the back. So we need to adjust the back feet again. Adjust the feet as necessary to level the unit and ensure that the cabinet is the correct height to allow for the plinth plus the floor covering. And it is important when you do this that you make sure that all 4 feet are touching the floor. You don't want any gaps because the cabinet can then rock. And that is pretty much bang on at that side. And the one in the back corner is always the most difficult one to reach. So whenever you're fitting units, it's absolutely critical that you check that your plinth's going to go on. And sometimes when you adjust the back one, it'll tilt the cabinet forwards and lower this gap. So you may need to adjust the front one again. So it's just a case of doing that until you get the unit level with the correct gap underneath. So I've just had to go up a bit at the front so that we can get the plinth underneath. I'll just check that, and that is pretty much bang on there. So that is how to set the height of the unit. We can also check it in this orientation. It is critical that you get it completely level in all planes. You don't want it unlevel at all. Because when the worktop's on there, obviously it needs to be as level as possible. With some base units, you will get pipes that are in the way, or if it's a sink unit, you will need to drill holes so that the pipes can enter the unit. Here we have a gas pipe, which is in the worst possible place. This means cutting away some of the corpus. How to fix the unit to the wall will depend on the construction of the wall. In these examples, it's just a case of using a wood screw through the pre-fitted brackets into the batten. So that's how to fix a base unit. It is by far the easiest of all the units to fit. If you are not fixing a batten, you can use a wall plug and screw in a solid wall, a Corefix fixing in a dot and dabbed wall, or a plasterboard fixing in a stud partition wall. And if you look at the front there, we've got a perfectly flush unit with that tall end panel. I've now got the next unit in position, which is a 600 drawer unit. With this one, I've actually had to feed the cable up the back there. That is for the hob, which will be fitted later. The critical part with this is ensuring that the units are aligned properly. Always ensure that the fronts of the units are aligned perfectly. If there is a gap at the rear, that should be packed out using suitable shims before screwing it into position. And we've got the unit completely level in both directions. So you can see that that is absolutely bang on now. And we can get the block underneath for the plinth. So it's same again really. We just need to put 2 screws in the back there. It's a good idea to join the units together. I prefer using cabinet joining bolts. This has been covered in another video. Or for base units, you can just use suitable wood screws and screw the units together. You can of course conceal the screws behind hinges, etc. This other unit is having a sink installed, so there are pipes that need cutting around using a hole saw. Just move the unit into position at roughly the correct height, then mark around the pipes using a pencil. Hole saws tend to give a rough edge when exiting the hole in chipboard. For that reason, I'm using the correct sized hole saw to drill an indentation. Then I'm using a brad point bit to drill a hole through the carcass. Then I can drill the holes from the inside out, so that the hole looks a lot cleaner on the inside. Whilst I'm here, I'll just demonstrate another way of fixing base units with a solid back panel using space plugs. Sometimes using the supplied fixing brackets can be difficult, as you need to remove them in order to drill the wall for a fixing plug. By using a space plug, you can simply drill through the back panel, then into the wall behind using a long masonry bit. Then insert a wall plug and insert a long screw. And use the adjustable space plug to take up the space, ensuring that the unit is fixed firmly to the wall. That's about it for this video. If you have not done so already, please check out the other videos in this playlist.